But today, in the US-China struggle, is over maritime power. Because the Chinese never had a navy to speak of, except during the Zheng He period for a few decades. But then they gave it up. They said there's no enemy by sea, so they neglected the navy. And by the 19th century, they found themselves completely threatened by a naval power which they didn't have. The whole of the 20th century, the Chinese didn't have a ship worth talking about. It was only in the 1990s, when they had enough money and the country was sufficiently united and secure within, that the Chinese began to seriously develop a naval force of some credibility. And what is a 20-year navy compared to a 250-year Anglo-American naval maritime supremacy that's been there for so long, and they absolutely want to keep it that way. And if they're determined to keep it that way, any challenge is regarded as a threat to their hegemony, as it were, at sea. So China's defense of their own territory politically and defense of their own economic advancement, because quite frankly, China's economic miracle of the last few decades would not have been possible if they didn't have access to the sea. If they didn't have access to the sea, if the sea was dominated completely by an enemy out to defeat you or out to contain you, China's economy itself would die. So this is now a matter of economic survival, that they must at least have some access. Completely freedom, in fact, freedom of navigation. The irony is that the Americans use that phrase all the time. But the Chinese probably need freedom of navigation more than the Americans do, because Americans already have it. The Chinese don't. The Chinese depend on Americans allowing them to have freedom of navigation, because the American Navy has the potential to stop and blockade the Chinese whenever they want to. And there are blockade areas, the Straits of Malacca, Sunda Strait. The South China Sea is a very good example why it is so vital and strategically vital. Not so much to American interest, because it doesn't affect America's interest directly, but it's certainly absolutely existential for China's interest. So this is what we are up against.